Hi, this is Eric Martin with BoardGameGeek. I'm here with designer Thomas Ruler and Jakob Kuzinski.
Exactly.
Oh, very good. From Checkboard Games, looking at Spring on a String, 2 to 4 player game. I did a preview video for. Now we can hear from the designer how to play. It's a fascinatingly different material.
It is.
And it feels very different as you're playing because of
I mean, what we have here is, in fact, a very simple game to explain, because we can start playing the game in only 1 or 2 minutes. But there's really lots of hidden variability and complexity in the game. Because as the game works, each player has his own lace. He uses either the longer or shorter end of the lace, depending on the number of players. And in your turn, you usually pick one of the flowers, pull the lace through, and then it's another player's turn. So, for example, Eric can take one as well, then it's my turn again, taking it from the top, like when I'm embroidering, actually. This is how it plays, like we're taking turns until I'm out of the lace. And when that happens, my opponent still finishes his lace until he can collect any more flowers. And when it's done, we just count points. And we have points for the petals of flowers we collected. So, for example, we have like 4-point flowers, 5-petal flowers, 6, 7s, and 8-petal flowers. Okay. As you can see, the bigger the flower is, the more point it gives you. And those are actually the basic rules. So it's really easy. But what makes it really interesting are those animal cards. Because at the start of the game, you agree on how complex, how difficult the game should be. And you set a scenario for the game with a different number of animals. I mean, for example, we can be an experienced players, so we can choose, for example, 4 animals to play with.
Okay.
And for each animal, I will draw a random number of colors, and the animal actually says me that this color has some special effect, some special ability or special rule. So I can explain it on some example. For example, having this ladybird card over here, it's one of the easier difficulty cards, and it says that to be able to collect a white flower, I need to have already one of the 5-petal flowers collected.
Okay.
So that's an easy one. But for example, the Detmold's head Hakmot for the yellow flowers says that when I collect the yellow flower, I'm out of the game. So it means it has to be my last collected flower. And there are lots of rules like these. Some of them allows me to collect the flower that's already collected by some other player. Like, for example, like this. Or there are animals that allow me to, like for example this earthworm, which allows me to use my other end of my lace.
Okay.
Or so it makes
one that unthreads people, or
yeah, exactly. That's
things.
for example what the mosquito does, like unthreading people and so on. So each animal brings, makes the game really different, and you have to consider that you're using either, let's say, 1 to 5 animals each game. There are 31 of them, and each time the animal has a different number of colors. So there's a huge amount of combination, and the game has a really huge variability like this. So for a really short time investment, like one game takes, let's say, 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, it depends on the difficulty you set. And like every time it's really different, so that's how it works.
I agree. All right, thank you very much. It was very interesting to see. Of course, you can always make up your own. If you don't have enough with 31, I guess you can make up your own too with different things you want to see.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe what I really like about the game is that it's very variable for the different kind of players. I mean, I can play it with my little daughter, and we're playing without the bugs at all.
Yes.
But we enjoy it also with gamer friends, and we play usually with 4 or 5 animals, and it's quite challenging game like this. So.
I must say that certainly the cards do big variety, and in fact we are presenting the game for 1 day here in Essen, and we start to think about the game as 31 games in one, because these rule changes are more like little scenarios rather than rule change.
Right.
So because there were at least 100 or nearly 200 different ideas, and it was selected during at least 2 years. So they are really very different from each other. And if you are still bored after these 31 scenarios, you can start the combinations.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for the overview of Spring on a String from Czech Board Games. Thank you, Tomas. Jakob. Thank you very much.